Hi guys, I've never done this before. I usually keep my personal life pretty private and I don't share certain things on social media. But I've been hearing about people struggling during these times, and I myself have been through some of the most surreal weeks of my life. So I felt I wanted to be open and share my experience, and beyond that, to bring to light how we can empower ourselves even in the most difficult of times. I know everyone has their own story and their own challenges, but I hope that this will help anyone out there who's struggling and might feel like they're alone or have no way out. It's really tough for me to be so vulnerable outside of a song, but something inside me pushed me to put my thoughts into this video, so I really hope it will resonate. So here we go. So to give you some context, I got this dream gig performing in the Caribbean with a violinist friend of mine. And we're set to perform 2 shows that we created in this beautiful theater on this massive cruise ship, sailing from one island to the next. So we'd get to explore that beautiful part of the world while making music. Perfect. So everything's going well and we're having the best time, and it's our last night on the ship. And we're scheduled to play our second show, disembark the next morning and fly back to London. So we're sound checking before that evening's show in the theatre, and suddenly the captain comes on the house speakers to make a big announcement. It's about the COVID-19 situation, which, when we got on the ship, was at a very early stage on a global level. So he tells us that the situation has blown up around the world, and so the island we were meant to fly from would no longer allow us entry into their port the following morning. At this point, we're shocked. Nobody expected things to escalate so quickly. And in my mind, there's all these thoughts about all the work I had booked in for the coming week. I'm due to deliver a workshop in Turkey in a few days' time, and my boyfriend has literally just flown back to London from his family trip in France, so that we'd spend a few days together before my next trip. So all my plans are falling through, not to mention the possibility of catching this virus, which is scary in itself, especially because I've got autoimmune conditions, so that puts me at a higher risk than normal. But we thought, okay, there's worse things in the world and there's not much we can really do right now. So we composed ourselves and we went ahead and played our 2 shows. I tried to keep things light on stage with a few bad jokes. Stuck at sea. Okay, so on to the next morning. We're still on the ship making our way to a different island. And long story short, we end up sailing from one island to the other, hoping that we can get off at one of them. But everyone's gone on lockdown, so no islands would allow us entry, meaning that we're stuck at sea with very little communication with the outside world. Imagine even texting or calling people is super arduous. So I'm talking to people around me and nobody's sure of anything. And with each day that goes by, everyone on board is getting increasingly anxious and fearful because of all the uncertainty. We're thinking if even 1 out of the 5,000 people on the ship has the virus, then the ship will have to be quarantined for who knows how long. So then this gentleman falls really ill and has to be evacuated via helicopter to a hospital on one of the islands, which just makes everyone on board even more stressed out, and all these rumors start to circulate about whether or not the virus has made its way onto the ship. So my friend and I were thinking, okay, we're here, there's not much we can do, how can we be useful? And we figured, let's just focus on what we came here to do in the first place. Let's be creative, make music, connect with people, and uplift their spirits. So I offer to deliver a beatbox workshop, and my friend and I decide to create a whole new show concept to perform on one of the nights. And the day arrives. I'm due to deliver my beatbox workshop in the afternoon, and then we're gonna perform our brand new concert in 2 separate shows that evening. The bombshell. And this is where it gets real tough. So we've got everything set up and there's 3 minutes to go for me to kickstart my beatbox workshop. And my phone finally decides to get some service and connect to the internet. So all these notifications start to pop up on my screen. And this one in particular really stands out. And this Facebook notification says, breaking news, a man was found murdered in his apartment in a particular village in Malta, which is where I'm from. And my first thought is, whoa, that's so sad. And that's actually the village where my dad's family grew up and my uncle lives. So instinctively, I open it up, and on my news feed, I see this article with a photo of my uncle's apartment. So I jump onto WhatsApp and there's a text that's just loaded from my mom. And it reads, "Hey, please call us when you get a reception. We really don't want to worry you, but something's happened to your uncle." So my heart is racing. And I quickly text her saying, "Ma, is my uncle the man who was murdered?" And she replies instantly saying, "Yes, I'm so sorry you found out this way." And then she says, "My dad is talking to the police and she's busy contacting different members of the family, and I tried to call, but the connection keeps cutting out, and even just talking about it now, my heart's racing." So I'm speechless. I'm in shock, so confused, and in 1 minute I'm meant to hop on stage and deliver this beatbox workshop, which was meant to provide some relief to the passengers on board. And there's so many questions running through my mind. Did he suffer? And why did this happen? And who did this? And how could they do this? And was there something I could have done to prevent it? And is the rest of my family in danger now? And what the heck is going on? So I just sit down and take a deep breath, and I remember something that I learned from all the personal development work and coaching training that I've been doing over the past few years with the school of thought called I Discover. And I remember all the tools I've been practicing to be resilient, be present, to trust. And so I bring myself to this point where I can separate what is in my control right now from what is not in my control right now. And so I look up and I see the stage manager walking towards me, and I have a decision to make. Do I go on stage and follow through? Or do I just cancel the whole thing? And the biggest question that emerged while I was in that state was, how can I stay present and be the most useful in this moment? And that's when it became clear. I just couldn't be with or properly support my family in that moment. But what I could still do was stay on purpose and channel my emotions towards uplifting the spirits of the passengers amidst all the anxiety on board. So I grabbed my mic and I delivered an hour-long beatbox workshop, and then I stayed on track and I performed 2 shows that evening. And the message I want to bring across is that by shifting my focus towards being useful, being of service, I managed to find some kind of center, and I managed to transform one of the most painful and stressful days of my life into one of the most empowering experiences. And as hard and emotional as it was to be up there on stage singing these songs from the heart, it was equally beautiful and so meaningful to be dedicating these concerts that I'll never forget to my uncle, my family, and the connection that we share. And I relate this to the situation that the world is facing right now. And in these times of uncertainty on a global level, it feels like we have so many unanswered questions. And that just creates even more fear and anxiety and helplessness. But what helped me was separating what I can control from what I can't. We don't have control over the answers, but we do have control over the questions we ask ourselves. And yeah, that day was one of the hardest days of my life, but I gathered the strength to pull through, and I'm so glad that I did. If this had happened 2 years ago, it would have broken me. I have no idea how I would have been able to hold it together. And I'm so grateful that I had access to these mental and emotional resilience tools that I could then carry over to the rest of my time on board. And I started to look for the opportunities that were coming from this situation. Like how it was an opportunity for me to practice what I preach when I coach people about resilience. And how it was an opportunity for me to dig deep into the darkness and find this light and this new strength that I didn't even know I had in me. And sure, I still felt isolated from my family and my boyfriend, but I'm a big believer in balance. And with this being such a big challenge, I trusted that there would also be a lot of support coming my way in different forms. And I started to notice how a few people that I had shared this news with started to show up in a new way. And I started to see how this scenario was giving me more time to self-reflect, to think about life and death and what I want to do with my time in this world. Eventually, after so many days stuck at sea, we were finally allowed to disembark in Barbados and fly back to the UK. And now that I'm back in our apartment in London, lots of challenges still keep popping up. I know that this lockdown's been really tough on a lot of people, with so many losing their jobs and being separated from their loved ones. And I myself have been impacted in many ways, but I know that I can handle it, and I believe that everyone can, which is why I put this video together. And I really hope that it will help anyone who's watching and needs to hear this. I really trust that each challenge brings with it an opportunity to grow. Because as I learned so well through I Discover and all my recent experiences, the challenges aren't coming at us, they're coming for us. Okay, so in these crazy COVID-19 times, we know that this is an experience that we all share. It connects us. And there's so much power in vulnerability. So I'd love to hear how you're doing, what's really going on, and how you've been dealing with all the challenges. And more importantly, what are the questions that you've been asking yourselves? I really hope this resonates with you.